Hi all, it's time for a cozy indie review. It's been a while since I've gotten to review an indie book, and that is because it has taken me forever to read this book, by no fault of the book itself, purely because I have been crazy busy and have not had time to physically read stuff. But I did finally finish reading The Boy with the Horns by Kay Anderson, the first book in the Shadow of Fate. And I loved this, okay? I will say this book is not going to be for everybody, but it is for me, all right? The main concept of this story is we have Maverick, who at the beginning of the story is a little kid whose spaceship with the Visionary is being attacked, and his mother puts him on an escape pod, and he crash lands on the planet Pakmi. And he gets basically taken in by a family there, and then to a different family as well, and grows up on this alien planet. And it's very kind of quiet. I'm so sorry if you hear some weird noise, by the way. Paul is eating his food. But it's kind of a quiet sci-fi. Like, it's still sci-fi because we're on an alien planet. We're dealing with new cultures and new worlds and new, languages and things. But it felt like it's a contemporary novel, a coming-of-age novel, but let's have the character grow up on an alien world, okay? Excuse you. You're eating too fast, bud. But I really enjoyed this. I loved the growth of Maverick, as he's just like a 7-year-old, I think, in the beginning, and then he's a teenager by the end of this one. And he has his best friend, Revis, who is Pakmi, and the Pakmi are a very interesting culture. They are empaths, and so they do not like to touch because it's impolite, because they can just read people when they touch. And so you don't touch. Holding hands is extremely intimate, but he and Maverick form a friendship and a very deep bond. And Maverick doesn't really fit in with anyone else. There's a lot of xenophobia against Terrans, even though he is a Martian. He's from Mars, okay? But the world of Pakmi and stuff have been shut off from the rest of the universe. They don't trust Terrans and stuff because Terrans are violent and thirsty, which is the theme of this book, because this book is on a very hot, sandy planet. And there's a ton of Dune references. So if you like Dune, you'll like this, because there's a lot of homage, because Maverick himself loves the movie and constantly watches the movie and quotes the movie and makes Revis watch the movie. And that was one of the things that I kind of didn't like, because I personally don't care for Dune all that much. I read the first book and I liked 2/3 of it, and then it lost me in the third, third, I guess. And I'm just kind of like, I'm not a huge fan. And that's fine. I just think we could have gone a little less with the Dune mentions. There's a lot of like quiet moments, not like my room right now with someone drinking a lot of water. There's a lot of quiet moments of them just like, let's watch Dune again. Let's watch Dune again, And I'm like, I don't think we needed to have this. Let's talk about some other cool sci-fi movies. We could mention those too. It feels like Maverick has only ever seen Dune, and that's it. And I'm like, we could watch Fifth Element, we could watch that one. Hi, you coming up now that you're seated? Can you get up? Are you good? Okay, anyway. So that's my one real complaint. The second minor complaint is that sometimes I felt like the scenes cut off too soon. And like when it went to the next scene, we had a time jump. So there's a lot of time jumps in this because it is Maverick growing up. It's only 391 pages. So there's a lot to unpack as he's growing up in this new world and kind of becoming Pakmi. So there's also the Sarish wait, is he on the planet Sarish or Pakmi? I can't remember. There's two. No, he's on Pakmi because Revis goes back to Sarish all the time. But Sarish is one of the other planets that's like a sister planet to them, but they have very different types of people. They're kind of like I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, because it's been a while since I read the beginning of this book, because I started this book in December. Shh, don't talk about how long it's been. But I think they're kind of like poison dart frog people. if that gives you an idea of them. But then all the Pakmi have like horns and stuff, and they have a very intense private culture, and Maverick is determined to be Pakmi and be accepted as clan and go through a caduceus, which is like a kind of coming of age ceremony where you break your parental bonds. And so there's all these kinds of things about bonds and communication and stuff with the Pakmi, which I thought was really well. I thought all the alien like cultures and stuff were very well developed and very well thought out. They're very different, and the planet itself very different. And I thought that was a really big strength in this book, was that world building. And I just really, really liked it. And so Revis and Maverick are besties. There is a bit of an age gap between them. So I think Revis is like 4 or 5 years older than him as they're growing up, but they're still like best friends. And so even Maverick's mom, who becomes his mom, doesn't totally believe that they're best friends, because it's like Revis is just humoring him because he's a dumb kid. But Revis actually genuinely loves Maverick and wants to spend forever with him, but can't because bonds. And yeah, he doesn't want to hurt himself, basically. So this is a queer story. It's not a full like romance or anything, because like I said, this is a very quiet book. It's very coming of age. And when it comes to their relationship with each other, it's just kind of like, well, yeah, I love you, dude. Like, I love you. You're my person. And it's nothing like intense, like how a queer romance is usually, with lots of confessions and feelings. It's because Revis does not emote a lot, and Maverick does enough for the both of them. But it's just like, well, it's always going to be us. I'm always going to be here for you. Like, you're a part of me no matter what. And it's just kind of matter of fact rather than dramatic confessions of love. So I actually really appreciated that, because it did fit with the tone of the book. And then the big climax in this is we have a Terran ambassador come to stay with Maverick and his mom, but then his mom gets called away into space and leaving him alone with the Terran, and the Terran thinks he knows best and is very abusive, and not like he doesn't hit him or anything, but he's like, I have rules and I'm taking care of you. And it's like, you are not my parent. You have no standing to do this, especially for a Terran who doesn't understand anything about Pakmi culture, and he's trying to really instigate all of these rules and implement all these very Terran rules on Maverick, who's like, dude, I grew up here. No, I'm super smart. I built a whole bike by myself and built a whole ship by myself. Like, he's very smart. He and Revis are extremely intelligent, and that's why they don't fit in with a lot of the other kids, because they're far above them in intelligence, but also they're ADHD little boys. ADHD autistic. That's what they are. Very neurodivergent little buddies. But the Terran is just the worst. And I was like, I wanted to run through the book and punch him so bad. But, you know, things happen, and the book does leave on a cliffhanger. And I need the second book so bad. I know, I want the second book so bad, but I know, I'm sorry. He wants to go to bed because it's past midnight. But I'm awake and I finished reading this book and I wanted to talk about it because it's so good. So I highly recommend this one. So if you like a kind of quieter coming of age sci-fi book involving a lot of really great world building and stuff, this is a book for you. Okay, if you're more into like the hard sci-fi, you know, fast-paced action and stuff, this is not for you. But I really, really, really enjoyed this book. I loved it so much. Like I said, I only have 2 things that I have qualms about with it, and they're pretty minor, in my opinion. I still give this book 5 stars. It's still fantastic. So I need the second one. I believe this is it's going to be a trilogy. I don't think the third one is out yet, but the second one is The Girl with the Spear, and it is from Revis's point of view, and I'm even more excited about that. But Maverick has gotten himself into some trouble at the end of this book, and it is up to Revis to save the day. So I'm super pumped for that. So anyway, that's this beautiful book. Go check it out now. Wow, buddy. Dropping a bone right at the end.